Welcome to Reflections from WT, the heart and the soul of the Texas Panhandle. This is episode number 32. My name is Randy Ray. I'm the Director of Broadcast Engineering, and I'm joined today by the President of West Texas A&M, Dr. Walter Wendler. And we have a special guest that I'm going to introduce to you in just a little bit. But first, I want to quiz Dr. Wendler on a few things. Are you ready? And you know this. You talk about this all the time, so it's not a big quiz. What do you think the most unique thing about WT is? The most unique thing?
Well, I'd like to say it's location, but that's every university. No two universities can exist on the same spot. I mean, It's just a law of geography, right? So I think the most unique thing is the people that populate this place.
I agree with you, which leads into what I want to talk about today. You talk about people, and I think, in my opinion, one of the reasons that I went to school here, one of the reasons that I like working here, is the relationships with people and the relationships that are formed. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, you're right, Randy, and those relationships are important. I don't care whether it's two people in, say, in a marriage or 2,000 people in a community. Those relationships, people-to-people relationships, are what they create glue that bond people into a group that's larger than themselves. And this is a fundamental notion of our existence, that it's good to be bonded into something that's larger than you are. We express that in ourselves in many different ways, but becoming part of something is really important. And what I really like about the Panhandle, this is what makes the people unique for me, is they can still be strong individuals. This place is made up of rugged individualists. I mean, very, very tenacious, tough, determined people. Yet they still belong to things larger than themselves. And that requires a kind of a self-reliance, but also a sacrifice, because whenever you join a group, there's compromise involved in that. I've been married nearly 50 years, and I can tell you there's compromise involved in that relationship. Mary was here, she'd say, that's just the way it is.
Well, we're talking about relationships. Yesterday, you and I were in a meeting, and one thing that you talked about that I thought about some was, you mentioned that there are other universities across the country that are not really that concerned about their students. They're just there to get them they're just cattle running them through. WT's different, where you said that we have faculty here that actually care about the success of students that come through here.
Yeah, they do. And the way I characterize this, like when I'm talking to new students at the new student orientation or their parents, I tell this story, and it's a true story. I was standing around with a group of students. There were 8 or 9, maybe 10 of us in a little group. I forget where we were. It might have been at the Presidential Scholars Recognition or something like that. And we're just chatting. And I said, I'm curious, how many of you people have the cell phone numbers of at least one of your faculty? And everybody raised their hand. And more than, I think it was about half the group, maybe more, had the cell phone numbers of all the faculty. Now, that may happen everywhere else. And maybe it's a kind of an accident of time, that at this point in history, people just give their cell phone numbers out. I don't know. But I've never...
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so either. I tell you, I taught at another university before I came here, but when I came to WT, is the first time I ever had a meal with a student. I didn't have that. I didn't do that.
Right.
Where I was before,
Yeah, there is a certain kind of humanness that I think, and that's part of the Panhandle, is this sort of openness and a willingness to share and so on and so forth, and never sacrifice individuality. That's what I like about it. That's what really rings my bell about the Texas Panhandle. People are still individuals, proud of their accomplishments. They take responsibility. They act in a way that benefits the whole community, but they never blend into the background. Not in my mind. Not when you get talking to them.
Well, we've been talking about relationships today. One of the things that I want to start talking about that I'm really excited about, and I think was a big deal, is something that you did to foster that one-on-one relationship with potential students. And that was recently, you created over 3,000 videos for students, reaching out to students that were thinking about coming to WT. Tell us about that. That's a big deal.
Well, it was a big deal. I didn't think of it as so much of a big deal. As a matter of fact, in a moment of weakness, I said, let's do this. I never thought through it. And then, 200 hours later, I'm still hoarse, by the way.
Yeah.
I did these things like I finished 2 months ago, and I'm still hoarse. So it turned out to be a major undertaking. But the fact of the matter is, it was also very useful. As a matter of fact, and this is another true story. These are all anecdotes, but it's a true story. And this wasn't told to me. It was told to one of the people at a new student orientation. The mother said to one of the people, she said, "Did you know that your president sent out personalized videos to the potential students?" And the person said, "Yeah, I do. We've read about that, and it's very interesting." And the mother said, "My daughter wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that." Yeah. She was on the fence with 2 schools, and she was really on the fence. It was a coin toss. And she said until she got the video, then it was no more of a coin toss. And even for me, even if it's just that one student, it makes all 3,000. It makes the other 2,999 videos worth it. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Well, we are fortunate today to have a recipient of one of those videos. We have Miss Saxton Ralston from Gruver, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Saxton, first of all, I'm going to ask you about your name. That is a unique and cool name. Tell me where that comes from.
So it comes from my dad's side of the family, from my great-great-great-grandmother.
Yeah,
so they decided to bring it back.
I don't know that I know another Saxton.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So,
well, Saxton, let me ask you, how did you feel? What did you think when you received a video from a president of a university?
I certainly thought it was something that not other universities do. It hit a personal level that you don't see very often, especially coming from a university. Yeah.
Did it make you feel like WT was different than other universities, maybe?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah. What did Dr. Wendler say to you on the video?
He told me how he looks forward to seeing me in the fall, and hopefully that everything goes good, and how he's excited to see that I'm enrolled in the biology program.
Yeah, so you're going to study biology?
Yes,
so
pre-vet. Yes,
pre-vet.
Sir. Yes, sir.
And we can take care of that too.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We
yes.
can. In spades.
Yeah.
We can do that well.
Dr. Windler, are you surprised at all to see Saxton sitting here after seeing your video? I mean, that's the reason you did it.
Yeah, it is. And quite, to be very honest about it, I mean, Saxton probably would have come here anyway. I mean, she was probably committed and all that sort of stuff, but it is a kind of a reinforcement. And so you build this web of relationships somehow. And people say, well, it can't happen when you're dealing with thousands of students. Well, it can. It can happen. And it requires I'll say a two-way street of determination. Students have to be determined that WT is a good place to be, and we have to be determined that we're going to serve the students. I don't mean bring them donuts to class every day or give them an A when they earned a C or any of that. I'm not talking about that kind of service. That would be ill-conceived. I'm talking about the service where a student comes and says, I want to be able to think and be ready to enter vet school. And we say to that student, we get it, and we want to work with you to help that happen. We want to help you get into vet school. That's your aspiration, and we want to work with you to help that become a reality. And, in terms of secular work, I can't think of a much higher I'll call it a much higher calling than helping people achieve their dreams.
I totally agree with you.
And by the way, it's hard work. And Gruver, by the way, is a town of hard work.
I agree. And
I'm really proud that she's from Gruver and taking the opportunity and that's provided by what I call the Corn Scholarship.
Well, I want to talk about that. We're going to take a break for 60 seconds, and when we come back, I want to talk about Saxton's community and what they do to help students like her get to college. We'll be back in 1 minute.
West Texas A&M University is proud to call the Texas Panhandle home, and providing the top 26 counties with opportunity and qualified graduates is an important WT mission. From their first experience on campus to graduation day, the WT experience is a challenging series of steps that will embolden our students to reach their full potential, and then, in turn, go out into the Panhandle and make a difference. Quality education with a big local return is one thing you can find here at WT. For more information about West Texas A&M University, visit our website at wtamu.edu.
West Texas A&M University is a student body that learns by doing and is always seeking opportunity. Talented and accomplished faculty that teach both in and out of the classroom. Programs that provide timeless information and meet the challenges of today's world. Facilities rich in technology as well as WT history. Now is the time to strengthen connections and open doors for tomorrow's leaders. Share your experience, share your heritage, share your pride.
Well, welcome back to episode number 32 of Reflections from WT. We're talking today with Saxton Ralston, who is a native of Gruver, Texas. Gruver is a unique little community, isn't it?
Yes.
What was it like growing up there?
Certainly, it's everybody has your back.
Yeah.
Now, everybody might know what you're doing 3 Saturdays from now, but
yeah.
But I mean,
you can't get in trouble without everyone knowing, right?
Yes,
I grew up in a similar kind of community. Gruver has a unique background and a unique history to it. Dr. Windler, you wrote back in March of 2020, you wrote a really interesting piece on Gruver. Tell us a little bit about Gruver, and tell us especially about the Gruver Farm Scholarship.
Yes, Gruver felt like the community could be improved if, as a community, they helped their graduating students go to college, go to community college, go to trade school, if they would provide merit-based scholarships to people, if they had resources to do it. And a gentleman named Carl Nelson, actually I think it's pronounced Nielsen, Carl Nielsen, but provided a tract of land, basically a section, or roughly a section, 410 acres, and said to the city and to the school, you can use this land, grow corn on it, and keep the proceeds to fund scholarships for deserving students. Basically, what Gruver did through the sweat of their collective brow was provide free college to residents of Gruver. Free college. We hear about it all the time from politicians on the national level, even at the state level in various locations. But no president has figured out how to do it. But Carl and the people of Gruver figured out how to do it, and it was by hard work and commitment. And by the way, it's not for everybody. It's for people that earn the opportunity to study. They have to have good grades, and they use standardized test scores. A lot of people don't like standardized tests. They're not afraid of them in Gruver. And they use these vehicles to assess student readiness to go to college, and then they fund tuition and fees for those students. It's free college. It's free college. And it's not politically motivated. It's motivated by a community that cares about its own. And they believe this makes the community better. And I will tell you, people like Saxton, and I don't want to speak for her, but the chances, she wants to be in pre-vet, wants to be a vet eventually. If she becomes a DVM and decides that she wants to practice somewhere, she will never forget that Gruver stepped up to the plate on her behalf. And it wasn't just an anonymous city, it was friends and neighbors. On my website, there's a picture of all of these students that work and help, and families, and farmers lend equipment, and so on and so forth. It is maybe one of the best examples of cooperative democracy that I've ever seen at work anywhere towards a high purpose.
Yeah, or putting it another way, just a community coming together to help their own.
Yeah, I mean it is very endearing to me about the community.
And those are Saxton here's the kind of people we want here at WT.
Actually,
because they know how to work. In your article, I know you have a line in there that they know how to work.
They do know how to work,
yeah,
and they've watched work produce benefit, not just profit, but benefit to the people that labor. And I'll tell you the truth, there is in some places and in some people's minds a malady in our nation and in various spots around the nation where people somehow don't feel the need or the drive or the aspiration to go out and break a sweat and do a day's work. Not true in Gruver.
Well,
No, it's
not true in
probably not
Gruver.
100%. I'm sure, but is enough that it makes a difference. The community thrives because of hard work. And I think that is a value that's in some ways being diminished or lost.
Yeah. Saxton, there are around 500 students in Gruver. What was it like growing up in a smaller kind of community, smaller kind of school system? Was it good for you, you think?
Yes, I certainly believe it was very beneficial to me, especially growing up, knowing that, well, I can always go to this teacher if I have a problem and she'll understand, especially if there's like family matters going on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I understand. Yes, I can help you out. We can stay after school and get it done. It's just the little things that certainly help.
I think we circle back around to what we were first starting to talk about on this podcast is WT, Gruver, both have that relationship kind of thing going on that I believe makes students better. And I think it keeps them engaged more. And, we all want to feel like somebody cares about us. And not only our family, but our faculty too. So Saxton, in every one of our podcasts, we traditionally do something that I call a curveball. Okay? So I'm going to throw both of you. This one's not a tough one today, but I'm going to throw you kind of a different kind of question. I want you to think about it. I'll start with Dr. Windler first. Dr. Windler, you rarely take a vacation, but if you did, what is your perfect vacation?
Well, I've been a lot of places, just in the nature of work and everything. And Mary and I have traveled to a lot of places. And it is true, I don't take a lot of vacation. It's probably a fault. And I like going to visit the grandkids on my vacation. Now, some people say, well, that's not a vacation. You need to go sit on the beach. And do what? Absorb a lot of vitamin D, which I don't mind doing, but I like being around the kids, the grandkids, and our children, and the families. And both Mary and I tend to like that. At times, it's not a vacation. It's even work. But I'm not afraid of hard work. I actually cherish it. I thank God every day that I can work.
Yeah. That being said, everyone needs to recharge their batteries every once in a while.
Yes, they do.
So, Saxton, what's your favorite? What would be a perfect vacation for you?
So a few years ago, the opportunity to go to Italy was offered to my class.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, due to COVID, that didn't end up happening. But within this trip, they would have taken us to multiple different farms or cheese places and just gotten to see the different food cultures of Italy. And that was something I was certainly looking forward to because I feel like here in the Panhandle, especially the agricultural lifestyle is a totally different thing from what it can be in Italy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I will tell you this, Dr. Osiware, who's a fellow faculty member here in communications, she and I are taking a group to South Africa next year, and I'm extending you an invitation right now to come along with us. So I guarantee you the ag world is way different in South Africa. But yeah, I guess if I had to think perfect vacation for me, I always think about mountains or beach. So Dr. Windler, you're not a beach guy. I probably the mountains for me. I really like the mountains.
Well, we're going up to Durango here the 1st of August. Not for a long time, but
yeah,
so many
beautiful
things on the
up there.
calendar. But
you guys will have a good time.
Cool air and get out of town a little bit.
Well, Saxton, thank you for being here today, and thank you for coming to WT. We need more students like you, and we're grateful that we have people like you. And I like that you're already wearing your WT jacket today. So thank you for being here. Dr. Windler, any parting words of wisdom?
Nope. Thank you for the time, Randy. And I share your appreciation for Saxton and coming here to West Texas A&M University to study. I often tell people I would like to have our population of students always be nearly split, half from the Panhandle and half from elsewhere, and I don't care where. I want the Panhandle half to bring with them and challenge us every day with the kind of values that are resident in the community of Gruver. Because you bring them with us. We can't forget them. We look at you. We see the values. We'll watch you work. We'll be engaged with you. And you will come here and affect the university. The university is going to affect you, but you're going to affect us, especially when there's so many of you. You know, if half of our students are from the Panhandle, there's a certain consistency there. So I'm thankful too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today for episode number 32 of Reflections from WT, the Heart and the Soul of the Texas Panhandle. Please join us again next time.